Hey guys. Hey, hey, hey. 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 Hey, what's up? You remember the Microsoft Zune? Yeah, that MP3 music player that kind of faded into oblivion. Today, we are going to work on bringing one of them back to life. I have one that I actually bought back in 2007. This one's a red one. And I had it for years and we used it for years, but this board on the inside, the power connector got wet and it fried and stopped working. So instead of tossing it, I put it in a box of mine and it sat there for the last 10 years. And I pulled it out the other day and thought maybe it's time to try to bring it back to life. So I bought a couple of these off of eBay, a pack of two, and this one it's got some problems. The switch is broken and it's missing a cover, so I'm going to rob the parts out of this to try to get mine back to life. I may or may not do that on this video, but the main purpose for this video is this one here, the second one. This one looks in pretty good shape. The charging port is good, the switch is good, it works. The buttons all seem to work well. So what I did was I bought a new battery off of Amazon, and I'm going to open this up and replace the battery, and we're going to see if this thing works, if we can bring it back to life. I have a set of tools here that I bought off of Amazon. I'll leave links to all the stuff that I bought for this in the description below, and if you use the link to buy it, then Amazon pays me a commission for sending you there, so thanks for supporting the channel. So yeah, also you can get these. I'm going to put this in mine. This is a 128 gigabyte hard drive that you can replace. This one's a solid state. If you want to upgrade the hard drives that came in this one, this is an 80 gig. So yeah, if you're asking why go to all the trouble and money to bring one of these back to life, it's just kind of fun for me. I like to restore old stuff, and also if you do dirt bike riding or stuff like that, these actually work well if you do longer trips, because they have physical buttons that you can feel with your gloves on, and you can, like, instead of having a touch screen that you have to mess with, these have physical buttons, so you can pause it and play it while you're riding much easier. So yeah, I'm going to get the camera set up here for a close-up, and we'll go ahead and open this thing up and see if we can't replace this battery and bring it back to life. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to remove the top cover. I just use the metal spade bit for this. Just insert the edge in carefully and pry it out. It comes out. You're going to want the T4 screwdriver. It's a very small Torx bit. And remove the two screws at the top. You have to be really careful with this because sometimes those screws can be in pretty tight, and if they strip, then you're kind of screwed. Once that's done, you take the spade bit, or you can use the plastic bit. I actually used both here. Insert it in the edge and then just pry carefully. Once you get the top edge loose, if you grab the either another screwdriver or the plastic pry tool to wedge it in there and hold it, make it easier to pop the other side loose. They have little tiny clips that go all the way down the side, so just work it in there and then pry the plastic from the face down, and that should snap it loose. And then just work your way around the case. I start at the top and work the way down one side, and then start at the top on the other side and I work my way down the other side. Once you have it mostly loose, you can wiggle it free, get the bottom loose. You'll see the hard drive, which is on the way this is oriented, is at the top, and the battery. So you want to pull the foil loose, careful not to tear the ribbon cable that plugs into the hard drive. Once that's loose, you can pull up on that little tiny black tab, which clamps the ribbon cable in place. Once that's loose, you can pull the ribbon cable out. With that done, pull the foil loose on the top, and then you should be able to lift the hard drive free. Set that aside. If you know it's good, just set it aside and you can put it back in when you reassemble. Next, you need to peel the foil off that covers up the ribbon cable that runs underneath there and the circuit board that sits at the bottom of the Zune. The adhesive is on there pretty good, so just find a corner that you can get under and then carefully peel it back. As it turns out, that hard drive that I took out of this is bad, and I had a spare one from another Zune that I bought for parts that actually works. So it has the music from whoever the previous owner was still on it. I need to set up my computer so that I can actually sync these and update the music that's on them. But yeah, carefully peel the foil off. That will expose the wires from the battery where they are soldered to the circuit board. With those free, just set it off to the side and put it back on when you reassemble it. And you can see the batteries, the wires from the battery coming in. There's the black wire, the red wire, and there's a white wire and a blue wire. So I'll turn the soldering iron on. Go ahead and open up the battery, the new battery. This one wasn't packaged terribly well. The red and black wire ends were not protected, which means that they could short out. I primed the tip of the soldering iron to make it more, to melt the solder more easily. So just dab the tip on there and pull the wires free for the current battery. Take note of the colors and where they are located so you can solder the new battery back in place and get the wiring connected correctly. I have a small pair of tweezers that I'm using to hang onto the wire and pull it out because the blue and the white wire are in a tight enough spot that it's kind of hard to get my big fingers in there. At this point, I wasn't sure I'd remember which wires went where, so I thought I'd start soldering the new one in before I had the old one completely removed. I'm priming the end of the black wire here with a little bit of solder. Decided to go ahead and hit it with the new, a little bit of new solder here, and then just line it up on the correct solder blob, which the black wire is the blob that's closest to the battery from this angle. Solder that one in place. It might be easiest to use tweezers to do this. It'd be much easier just to take note of the wire color and where they go, and then just put the new one in place. Don't mess with both of them in there at the same time. With that connected, now we're getting the white and blue wires soldered in place. This is much easier with the tweezers. Just bend the wire to the shape you want to get it in that spot, and then apply a small dab of solder to the soldering iron. That makes it easier to melt the solder that's already on the board. Don't make it too big or you'll have too big of a blob on the solder when you're done. Then do the same with the other wires. So just bend the wire so it's easy to put in place, and then dab the bit of solder that's there and melt the red wire into place. Sometimes solder that's been on the board for a while won't melt the easiest. So I'm adding a little bit more here just to melt the solder that's already on the board a little bit more easily. It transfers the heat from the soldering iron to the solder on the board better with a liquid transfer, since the solder on the soldering iron is already melted. Now the battery is completely soldered in place, and what you want to do is twist the wires back up if you need to. So just rotate the battery around so the wire is nice and tight, and then wedge it back in place on in the guides there in the wire guides that run along the side of the plastic case. Just wedge the battery in. There's a little rubber piece there, or foam piece, and it just snaps into place. At this point I'm inspecting the wiring a little bit because it looked like it was a little bit too close to the edge and might rub, but we're good. So just snap the battery in place and then route the wires, put the excess up by the battery. There we go, it's all in place. So now the the foil can be reinstalled. This protects any of the stuff from short circuiting on the hard drive case. Just put it back in how it was and push it down. With that reassembled, just have to plug in the hard drive. At this point, I don't know that the hard drive is bad. It should just press into place. Depending on how your ribbon cable is folded, it might be a little bit difficult to plug in, but just be gentle, take your time, and it should slide into place. As you can see on this, the ribbon cable, well, when I actually get it on screen, the ribbon cable has a nice tight bend to it, which makes it a little bit difficult to slide it back into place. So I'm just trying to flatten it out a little bit and then fit it into the groove. Just kind of wiggle it in, make sure you got the ends lined up, just wiggle it and it should slide in. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult, but it should go fairly easy. Once that's in, go ahead and push that plastic tab that clamps the cable back in place. Back down, fold the ribbon cable over, and put your adhesive foil. Now it's not turned on, so also at this point we don't know if the battery is what the state of charge is on the battery, so I'm not putting the case on yet. I'm going to get the charger and plug it in. Well, now's the moment of truth. Let's see if this thing works. It's a perfect reflection. You see my phone I'm recording with. So yeah, the screen lights up, but there's some sort of hard drive error. I'm not exactly sure what it is. The hard drive may be bad, or it may just not be up to date with the latest hardware. I mean the latest software. But it tries to start for a bit, and then it gives me an error message. It says contact support. So nothing seems to want to work. So we're going to go ahead and power it down. I don't like to plug and unplug hard drives with the device powered on. So if you press the back button and the down button and hold it, that will power it off. So go ahead and remove, well, in this case I'm removing the hard drive again. I'm going to grab the spare one that I've got sitting on the other edge of the table here and put the other one in. Once it's lined up correctly and pressed into place, just go ahead and clamp it in again, and then we'll plug it in and try this one. This is a hard drive that came out of another Zune that I bought off of eBay, and the hard drive worked fine. The one that I bought, the only thing that was wrong with it was the battery. So and there we go. Got all the playlists that are already set up, artists, songs. I would play some music on this to demonstrate that it works, but I don't have to mess with copyright issues, and I'm not able to sync new music on it at the moment, so yeah. Looks like it's working, so now I'm just going to snap the rear cover back on. You see the battery needs to be charged up here, so this will be, probably leave it plugged in overnight. For some reason these things seem to take a while to charge up if they're completely dead, so. Good to go. Go ahead ahead and power it down when I put the cover back on. Assembly is reverse of disassembly. Just be careful to keep an eye on the wires. Make sure that you don't pinch any of the battery wires right there. You can see one by my thumb. And also right there. That wire popped on the outside, that would get pinched. So just make sure when you put it together, you keep an eye on all those wires and that everything is out of the way. Don't force it. If it doesn't want to go, it should snap together fairly easily. You may need to apply some side pressure to it just to get it to snap into place. With that done, yeah, just put the new screws back in, snap the cover on the top, and we're good to go. Switch appears to be working. I forgot to double check when I put it together that the switch was lined up properly. Thankfully, I did have it turned off when I snapped it together, so we're good. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. I will leave links in the description below for the stuff that I used and like the tools here. Also the battery and the hard drive. So if you would like to get it, those are affiliate links, which means if you buy through those, then Amazon will give me a commission. And I thank you for supporting the channel. So go ahead, like, subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Thanks.